Hi everybody, welcome back to the Jeremy Swenson Racing Channel. Just a quick update. It actually probably won't be that quick, but I figured we're a ways into this thing, and I should probably tell you guys a little bit of what we're building and why, for those that have just joined us. So this is our C5 build. It was already a race car, but it was total garbage. So we're redoing everything. This was down to a bare shell with a cage. And it turns out we had to redo the cage anyway. Not all of it, just some of it to get your big buddy here to fit inside of it. Anyway, so we've gotten quite a ways now. We've gone through the transmission. It's a face-plated T56, and we've fixed a couple of the issues in it. We've fixed the torque tube, just the bearings in it. We've got a bunch of cool fast and comp parts on the engine now. I had the heads off just to double check everything, put new gaskets on. We've got a comp cam in it, ETI balancer. We got a daily dry sump in it. So this car is going to be used for road racing with GLTC, that's Grid Life Touring Cup. So it's a power to weight class. It's 12.5 to 1 power to weight ratio, which, if you know anything about racing, that's really slow for a Corvette. So we actually have to kill a bunch of horsepower. This thing should make over 400 pretty easily at the tires, and we're gonna have to kill 150 of that. We're gonna have to get down to about 250 horsepower, depending on what we end up weighing once it's all done. So we're gonna do that via throttle. So we do have drive-by-wire with the Holley Terminator X-Max. So we'll be able to just, whenever my foot's wide open, it will only go so far. The throttle will only go so far at certain RPM to keep that horsepower under 250. So it's the easiest way to do it. I suppose you could run a tiny restrictor, but this is, in my opinion, probably the best way to do it. And I think you take a little bit of a penalty because you'll have a flat horsepower curve for it. But I think it'll be worth doing. Anyway, I just mostly finished wiring, which I'm going to wrap up tonight off camera. And then tomorrow we're going to start plumbing, which I'll bring you in for that too. So we're getting close. Deadline is like 3 weeks away. We race March 6th at COTA, Circuit of the Americas in Texas. And my wife's looking forward to it. She's coming with me, which makes me really excited because she and I haven't had time without kids forever. Maybe ever since we had Jace. So I've been working every day trying to get this thing done. And it's going to be close, but we still have a bunch of parts coming in. A bunch of great companies that have been helping us out a little bit along the way too. So as you can see, there's still no suspension in it. We've got some goodies from G-Speed and After Dark Speed that are going to be filling up those gaps. So you'll get to see that as we go. Otherwise, that's really just the basic get you up to date. So next you'll see is me starting plumbing. I neglected to mention this car will also be used for drifting once we get to that point. There is absolutely no budget for any drift parts right now. So as desperately as I want to also drift it this year, and it doesn't take much. It really only takes a hydraulic brake, some steering angle parts, and that's about it, really. It's just definitely not in the cards right now. Hopefully, maybe I'll still get a chance this summer if we find some budget. But right now, it's tight just to even go racing with this thing. So, but yeah, I want you to know the plan is to eventually drift this thing too. We've got a local track to me, Sandbeck Race Development. Top End Dragways, which is now Interstate Dragways, I think. It's not just a dragway, they've got a little drift track there, which is 5 minutes from me, and it's a really fun, cool place to drift. So, and there's obviously a bunch of other stuff we can do, other events that we can go to as well. But, and I love drifting, but I don't think it's going to be happening to start with for a while, so eventually. Which brings me to my next point. If anybody, namely people with money, want to help a guy go drifting or racing at all, I could use some. The whole 2-car campaign thing, that car doesn't even get used. I haven't touched it other than taking parts from it to put in that thing. So that one's going to be just an autocross car now. But yeah, we've had some pretty good success. So yeah, if any sponsors out there are looking for a unattractive, overweight American man driving a Corvette, it's going to be purple thanks to Viking, and it should stand out, and we plan to do well. We'll see. We might not. The recipe might not work, or maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. Either way, we hope to make some waves in GLTC and have a lot of fun and bring you guys along. I'm really excited to actually start racing. I've been filming myself now for, this is the 16th episode or 17th or something, and it's getting a little boring just hanging out in the shop every day, and I'm sure it's getting that way for you too. I'd like to eventually show you the fruits of our labor. Just even starting it up, I'm excited for. Hopefully that's going to happen next week. So a lot of stuff should be happening soon over the next 3-4 weeks, and I plan to do the best that I can to bring footage to you from the actual race so you can see what all the fuss is about and why we go to all this work, so you can see the highs and lows of racing. I'll be on a completely untested car that was completely rebuilt from a shell with all new parts and all new everything, so odds of us having no problems are about 0. But I'm excited to bring you with and hopefully document for you what race weekends look like and how much fun we have, the people we meet, and so on. So thanks again for watching. All right, figured I'd show you, before I could wire up my cooling fans, I needed to know where my tank was going to be. So this is my little expansion tank. I just welded a couple brackets to the chassis. I'll throw some paint over those here in a little bit. They're still cooling off, but that should be pretty good. She's solid. So and then from here I'll just run a shit. All of a sudden I don't like what I've just done. Shit. Shoot. Sorry for the vulgar language in my last post. I try not to swear, but that one just comes out so easily. I think I get it from my grandma and my grandpa, who definitely didn't consider it a swear word. Anyway, I think you probably saw my problem. I burned those brackets in and I was so ready to go, and then I realized, wait a sec, I don't have fittings yet for the tank, and what I did have would have really been weird to try and snake a hose around. So I've got that one back out, and I went and picked up some fittings, which I'm going to show you now. A 90-degree heater fitting here, so we can run that down to our barb on the water pump, and then this one will go, obviously these aren't in yet, but this will just go to the overflow. Our friends at After Dark Speed, who specialize in a lot of Corvette stuff and modern muscle car stuff, sent us a bunch of their goodies. So we've got, this is for camber adjustment in the front. We've got some of their kits. This helps get rid of all that eccentric garbage that nobody's going to race with, or shouldn't probably be racing with. We've got their rear toe links, toe arms, as well as their offset, because these toe arms, once they get this size, even stock ones get really close to the rear spring, so this offsets them, which is nice. And then we have their bump steer kit, rear bump steer kit too, so we can dial in our bump steer. We also have their front bump steer kit, which is right here. And basically all suspension stuff. And then we also had Ryan make us a custom spoiler because we have to stay under 250 square inches. So he drew this up in CAD and basically modified the one that he already makes on his website to fit our rule set. So we can still have hopefully a little bit of downforce in the rear without taking a penalty for a wing. So that's exciting news, and hopefully within the coming couple days we'll start getting suspension thrown on this car, because we need to get this thing moving soon. So we're going to get back to plumbing today. I'm going to finish up this tank thing, finish the few little wiring circuits I have left, and then it's time to go plumbing. Yay! Alright, I don't remember if I showed you this or not, but I've got my expansion tank mounted. Some of you are going to hate this, but I angled this guy to stay away from the hose so it's not straight up and down. I realize that's going to bother some of you. I'm hoping this hose that I got will suffice. And that sound says Jeff's here. That's the Jeff's here noise. And anyway, so that's done. The wiring's basically done. I've got my fans wired up. Most everything's in its place. Happy Saturday, Jeff.
Saturday!
And we're looking at like $1,000 of fittings and hose here. So that's today's project. Wish us luck.
We installed this line.
That's all we've done?
That's basically all we've done, I think.
Okay, well, we made a little pedestal thing for my filter to sit on, so that's welded to the chassis. We got the line from the pump up to it to the tank, and then down at the bottom of the tank back to the pump to the other stage. And now we're gonna carry on with the rest of them. I feel like we did more than that, but apparently we didn't. Oh, I put a belt on.
And this belt is way too loose.
Jeff thinks Daly is dumb.
Why would you have a belt so loose?
It works fine. Oh, we mounted the radiator, and we mounted the oil filter housing in a different spot. So we're gonna carry on making lines now. Alright, so this is the hose that goes from the pump. We've taken our oil, which is now puddled and pooled in the dry sump tank. Maybe now's a good time to explain what's happening in the dry sump system. So instead of keeping your oil, the bulk of your oil in an oil pan at the bottom of the engine, which is what most cars do, it just keeps it there. The oil pump grabs it and sucks it through. In this case, we're keeping this dry basically all the time. At any time, we're pulling as much oil out of the pan that we can, and we're putting it in this tank. And then from here, it pools up all 14 quarts of it basically, and runs from there out. So it goes from here back to the pump where it gets pressurized. And the line we're making now is our first line out of the pump, and that goes to the oil cooler, which we've got over here. Alright, so we're wrapping a bunch of little things up, and I'm preparing for my shroud some weather stripping, and I'm hopeful that this will help seal off the shroud like perfectly so that there's no wasted energy and we get the most cooling that we can out of it. So we're not going to have time to wrap the car until after our first event. So I thought we would come up with something creative. And what are we going to do, Jaylee?
We are going to color the car with Sharpies.
Yep. So Mom's in charge of making sure the Sharpie gets drawn where it's supposed to and only where it's supposed to. And Mom's also in charge of replicating logos. So we'll see how good her arts degree is paying off.
To all of your sponsors.
So we're gonna just set the camera up here and you guys get to see what they do.
Oh, Mom's. I don't know how well Mom's gonna go.
Jace, what did we talk about before we started this?
What?
What did we say before we started this? You don't do this to any other car, right?
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah. But Daddy was the best daddy ever met us.
What are you doing?
I'm just drawing
Ooh,
a race
a wrench.
car.
Good idea. Tools. That's a good idea.
I need inspiration.
All right. Have fun. Keep drawing.
Wow.
Oh, she's going to go for the whole thing?
Wow.
I'm making a V right now.
Oh, okay. It looks great, except,
That tiny S.
well, stand back once.
And the fact that it's like slanted up.
Yeah, not even close to straight, but
Well,
That's
I
fine.
wanted to
I
do
know.
tape, and
I
you
know.
did not want to.
well, I guess I
This is
overtrusted
all
you.
your fault. What do you mean?
Keep going. YouTube needs this. Nag.
You're the one that told me I don't need
It looks
tape.
perfect. Viking will
Told me
agree.
It looks terrible.
Viking's gonna agree. That's you couldn't have done better.
Chris and Christina, I'm sorry. It looks terrible.
What
All right.
is that an M?
Dad gets to do something he's always wanted to do now.
Can I draw one?
Do you want something on the other side, or is everything on this side? Or am I mirroring everything on the other side?
Woo! Woo!
What?
Ooh.
Can I see?
Number 3.
Can I see?
Yeah.
I will look see.
What?
That's so good.
What does it say?
Jeremy Swenson.
Okay, don't
hashtag-
talk like that.
Jeremy Swenson hashtag 3.
That's a number sign, Jaylee. It's not hashtag. Get out of there. Serious. Get away. Get down.
Oh.
Does that look good?
Yeah.
Okay, find something else.
Erase that thing and try over?
Ooh, looks good.
Yeah, because I think they are allowed to do that white work.
What do we got here? First place cup. It looks more like a U. First place U.
Rory.
Oh, a bowling ball. And a bowling pin. Yep. All right. Okay. All right. We'll check back in a bit. Guys, I gotta tell you, filling oil in this thing right now feels monumental for what we've been through to get to this point. So this is an exciting thing. I wonder if I've got the drain bolt in. So find out in just a minute. Yep. I've been doing a fairly crummy job of updating you guys lately, but here's my dry sump pump we'll throw right here. We'll throw the belt back on that. Steering rack, I did get a replacement solid aluminum bushing for this. I forget who makes it, but just to make sure we don't have any flex or play there. I've mounted my power steering cooler here, and we'll be running lines shortly to that. I'll update you when that stuff's done. All right, belt is back on, rack is in, and I'm using the factory power or pressure line from the pump to the rack, and that goes in over yonder. So that's the back one, not this one, the one back there. That's the pressure. And then I found a non-pressure or whatever it's called, other side, the out from the pump. And that's for like an older Chevy truck or something. And it goes just this far and it goes to a flared end here. Well, there is a hose attached, but I took that hose off. It's not long enough for what we need. So now I can go from there to my power steering cooler and then back up to the reservoir up top. I'll show you that in a second. We've paused progress on getting it running to appease Adam Jabay, who says this is a giant splitter. Even though the bottom of it doesn't stick out past the top of it, he still says, oh, that's a splitter. So we're gonna cut it up, put our ducting in, and then add a big old, I don't know what we're gonna call it, but we're gonna smooth out the front. So you'll see the finished product. All right, we've had a pretty good first test so far before firing. I got all the electrical hooked up for the first time, and turning on the main power, you'll see the Switch Pro light up, and you can hear my power steering fan kick in. Start button, I changed this to a momentary style so you can hear the starter. There's no spark plugs in it right now, so that's why it sounds so weird. And ignition turns on the screen and the Holly. And my rear lights are not cool. I bought LED lights for the rear, and so I just hooked them up because they're supposed to be 2-stage. Well, look at that, we got half and half. So I'm gonna have to switch that, at least for now, so that my brake pedal turns those on, which should be the case with this one, although I don't have my brakes together yet to test that theory, although that would be easy to test, but I'm 99% sure that's the problem. So I'm gonna just set these up so, because there's no night races at COTA, so I'm gonna set these up so the brake lights when I hit the brakes are what happen, and then I'll have to figure out if in fact these are 2-stage LEDs or not. But it sure doesn't look like it because they should be working otherwise. Anyway, next up is put some coolant in this thing, and not coolant, just water and water wetter, and then we can begin. Check this out, after dark speed. So we just averted disaster. I hooked up the old vacuum fill to fill the coolant, and it would not build pressure. And I was pooping bricks because I couldn't figure it out. I checked all my lines, everything seemed tight and no leaks. Spent, I don't know, 5-10 minutes looking around trying to figure out what it could even be. Finally I decided I'd put a little water in it and see if it comes out anywhere, and sure enough, it comes pouring out the bottom of the radiator because the drain cock was open. Apparently it's the opposite of what you think. You pull the valve all the way out instead of in. So all the way out is closed. So I closed that off, and what do you know, we built pressure, vacuum, and got it filled, and now we're just bleeding off a few last bubbles here before we fire it up. So this is going to be a cliffhanger, so you can thank me for that. You better subscribe then so you see whether this thing starts or not, because that's going to be the next thing that I shoot. We have the kids coming by either tonight or tomorrow. We're going to do a lot more artwork on this beauty. But so far, my wife did some actually pretty good stuff. There's G-Speed, Quartermaster, gas sponsor right there. That I think is a unicorn and a dolphin. And over here we've got St. Paul Speed. We've got Tick Performance up here. Tiffany did killer on these. St. Paul Speed, but check this one out. She drew that by hand. Pretty impressive, huh? The old girl still got it. Anyway, that's going to end it for this video. Like I said, come back for the next one and we'll find out if this thing starts or not. So far, pretty much everything's working properly except for those taillights, which what I last told you, I'm not the most confident about all of a sudden because they're on the same circuit. So I got to figure out what's going on there. But that's a minor issue compared to what could be. So Thank you guys for watching. Smash buttons. Shoot, am I getting this wrong? What was it again? Thanks for watching. Smash buttons. Love you. Bye. Yeah, that's right. All right. So yeah, thanks for watching. Smash buttons. Love you. Bye.